Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions. Paperweights are the crown jewels of glass artistry. You can discover both antique and modern paperweights at the L.H. Selman Gallery in Chicago's Fine Arts Building.
My name is Elysabeth Alfano, and I am your host for Fear No Art Presents The Dinner Party. It's very exciting for any of you who watched us last time. We've had some great news. So we are streaming live on the internet, but we are also recording. And so we've been picked up by TiVo, and TiVo now takes our show and it shows it to up to 600,000 people. So it's nice. So if you want to find us on TiVo or tell your friends, you just go to TiVo and then you go to the web section and then you go to food and drinks and there we are. So it's very exciting. But along the same lines, we have some new news. So tonight, we are streaming on Time Out Chicago. It's very exciting. Welcome to all of our new community at the timeoutchicago.com website. I think you all got a free Time Out today on your chair, which was great. Here's an older version of Time Out. One of the reasons why I love Time Out, and I go to them all the time for food and drink suggestions, is that they have a great e-blast newsletter that is the Time Out Chicago Consume newsletter. And I love it, and I refer to it all the time. So I thought, well, this is a natural connection. So it's wonderful, and welcome everybody from Time Out Chicago who is watching us online. And so for those of you who are watching us at Time Out Chicago, get your Twitter fingers ready because you're going to be part of this community tonight, part of this dialogue. So you can Twitter to us at Fear No Art CHGO, Fear No Art CHGO, and everybody in the audience as well can do the same. Remember to use the hashtag #TheDinnerParty, and we'll rope you into this conversation, which will be lots of fun. For those of you who are here in the audience, I can already hear your nibbling away. So you know that tonight includes food, the wonderful food of Paul Kahan from his newest restaurant, Pulbican Quality Meats, and he's just fabulous. And we're pairing that food tonight with Brewery Omegang beer. So I hope everyone's already enjoying their appetizer, and we're going to end the night with some Bose chocolate. So lots of good things are happening here today. I'd love to introduce my guests, but before I do, because we've got a great show for you, but before I do, I need to say a couple of big thank yous because these things don't happen alone. So I'm just thrilled and honored to have as a sponsor the best art shipper, furniture conservator, and painting conservator in the land, most definitely DPR Art Rescue. And also Le Cordon Bleu is a sponsor, and who could ask for a better sponsor for a dinner party? And we also have the L.H. Selman Gallery of Fine Glass Paperweights, and they're wonderful, and our paperweights are right here on the table. They're a great sponsor. We've also had help from the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation, 3 Arts, VAC Inc., which helps us with all of our technical issues, the design firm of Ken and Frank, who found us this wonderful table from Design Fournier. So we've had lots of help along the way, and I am grateful to all of them. Tonight we have a couple new additions, which is very exciting. We have the paintings of Michael O'Brien here on stage. They're here to keep the paperweights and us company, so that's wonderful. And we also have live illustration. Maybe we can turn up the house lights and we can all see Rosemary Fanti here. She is a fashion illustrator, and she's doing live illustration tonight of everything that's going on stage. So I don't know exactly how it's all going to shake out, but I never really do at the dinner party. So we'll just sort of have to see what she concocts, which will be wonderful. So let's get on with our show. We have wonderful guests tonight. The first guest everybody will know. She was on Saturday Night Live from 1985 to 1990. She's been in a gazillion movies and equally as many plays. She's an actress and a comedian and a director. Please join me in welcoming Nora Dunn. Thank you for coming. already saw as the opening act to our evening, we had Chicago Human Rhythm Project's band perform, and they were fantastic. They were fantastic, off the charts. And the Chicago Human Rhythm Project's artistic director who is here tonight, and he is such a force to be reckoned with, almost single-handedly, I want to say. He has put tap and percussive dance into the consciousness of people around the world. So please help me in welcoming Lane Alexander. So we've already got a lot of personality going on the stage. We've got two clear forces to be reckoned with. But I didn't think that this triplet would be complete unless I included the sass of Project Runway's fashion designer, Peach Carr. The wonderful Paul Kahan is going to be joining us on stage, talking about what he's made for everybody at Pulbican Quality Meats. But first, I'm going to have a seat with my guests. Everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, you know, I like to pick guests that naturally wouldn't seem to have anything in common, and so you would seem to be very diverse. But actually, I think you all have something really strong in common, and I'd love to talk to you about that. But it's hard to focus when I know that we have food coming from Paul Kahan. So let's check in first and see what Paul Kahan has in store for us.
Hi, my name is Paul Kahan. I'm the executive chef and owner of Pulbican Quality Meats. I'm here with the chef, Chris Kajemko, and we are really excited to be on the dinner party tonight cooking for Nora, Lane, Peach, and Elizabeth. Pulbican Quality Meats is all about farmers in the Midwest, amazing product, and how we manipulate it. Homemade salamis, sausages, fresh cuts of meat, all beautiful products.
Just taking everything we can possibly get our hands on and just trying to make it into beautiful products that we can sell to the public and also continue making the Pulbican restaurant across the street even better.
Yeah, artisanally handcrafted products. That's what we do here. Anyways, to get going here, the first dish that we're going to do is mortadella, blood mortadella. It's amazing pork fat, cumin, orange, garlic. That's all. It's all in the technique and in the process. We slice it on this beautiful hand crank slicer, and we're going to serve it with a salad of ramps, wild baby leeks, grilled squid from the Monterey Bay, escarole, and we're going to dress it all with a great vinaigrette, or a version of a vinaigrette called mojo verde. So what we do for the mojo verde is we combine shallots, finely chopped shallots. It's kind of a thick, chunky vinaigrette. Fresh garlic, my wife's favorite ingredient in salad dressing, jalapeno, all the chunkies, champagne vinegar. I like to take all these ingredients and season them at this point because salt doesn't readily dissolve in oil. So I take a good guess at how much salt it's going to take, how much pepper it's going to take, and I can adjust that later. Just give that a little whisk, and we cook with our mouth and our eyes. So we're going to taste it. A little more salt, because I know I'm going to dilute all this with the olive oil. I'm just going to throw that in there. Thanks, boss. Put a wet towel underneath your bowl. It'll keep it from moving. Culinary tip number 875. And this isn't necessarily supposed to be an emulsified vinaigrette. It's just chunky and delicious. And again, we're tasting it. It's good. It's really good. And then to finish the dish, we take our blood mortadella, lovely, our mixture that Chris cooked off earlier of marinated Monterey Bay squid, fingerling potatoes, ramps, and escarole, and we're going to dress it with the mojo verde. And then again, taste it. You want to taste it, Chris? Salt, right? Still think it needs a squeeze of lemon juice. No?
Muscatel.
Muscatel vinegar. This is a great vinegar that we also sell in our amazing retail section. It's one of the building blocks of the cuisine across the street. It's a Spanish muscatel vinegar. Great to finish anything. Just give it a little bit of a spark of acidity. Lemon juice would be good. Muscatel vinegar is even better. And so we're going to take this beautiful salad. And I know it's not a traditional pairing. Most people wouldn't think about squid and blood mortadella, but we got a lot of problems that we have to deal with, and we do it by being creative and doing things that we think taste delicious, and this is definitely one of them. And then we're going to finish it with a little bit of fresh cilantro, and then just a final little drizzle of this beautiful coarse vinaigrette, the Mojo Verde. Pulbican quality meats salad of blood mortadella, wild baby leeks, Monterey Bay squid, and escarole. Crispy fingerling potatoes as well. There she blows.
Any second, I think. But Paul, come on out, Paul. Come on out.
Hi, guys.
I would never think of putting squid and mortadella together.
Yeah. Did you guys not have a menu in front of you? No. You didn't know what you're eating? So I'm sorry if the hijinks, if some of you ate something with blood in it and you're freaked out and you're going to kill yourself now. It's, wow. It's actually the dish is sort of a common pairing of Calabrian flavors. They use blood and mortadella in Calabria and Italy, and squid is a great ingredient, great olive oil, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Well, when I think of something like mortadella, I think of preservatives and just think of like junk in it, junk. But you had mentioned like only 6 ingredients.
Yeah, it's we get beautiful pigs from a bunch of different farmers, and this was made with meat from the farm is called Green Vision Organics. The guy's name is Jude Becker, and he's probably the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest pork farmer in America. The pigs run around, they live in little huts. It's this Danish system of farming that his father started a long time ago, and they're real happy animals, and he's really, it's imperative to him that the animals live a great life, and he believes that the energy that throughout their life and the way the animals are killed is transmitted into the meat. So it's pork from Jude, shoulder. It's orange. It's cumin. It's water. That's it. That's all there is in mortadella. A little bit of garlic.
Well, you know, I wouldn't actually, thank you, normally think of putting a dapper dancer and 3 women together for a bunch of meat. But the reason I wanted to do this and have you on this kind of show is because the meat is so well cared for, and that's such an important thing, I think.
It's important to us.
Yes, yeah, right as well.
Yeah, and we're really not all about meat. You know, that's a misconception. We serve amazing smoked fish and incredible cheese at Pulbican Quality Meats. And at Pulbican, everyone always says, man, that place is all about meat, and it's not. We actually have a whole side of the menu that's amazing seafood. We get some stuff that no one else gets in Chicago. We're very proud of the oysters. We're very proud of sort of lesser used fish that are really sustainable, sardines, anchovies, a lot of things that are in abundance that people don't necessarily like to cook with, but we love to cook with.
Well, and Pulbican Quality Meats serves the Pulbican restaurant.
It does. It serves.
How many of you have eaten at Pulbican?
God, yes.
It actually serves all of our restaurants. We bake bread at Pulbican Quality Meats with all organic flour. We have an amazing baker. We bake bread for Blackbird. We bake bread for Exec. We bake bread for the Pulbican. We bake bread for the Violet Hour. So, and of course for Pulbican Quality Meats. So 5 out of the 6. Big Star is just tortillas, so no bread there.
Well, I know you have lots going on still in the kitchen, working on entrees, and you're going to be back with us in just a little bit. So thank you so much for this, and I'm going to actually dig in.
Yeah, don't be scared, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
No, yes, this is
all right.
Woo! Yes, he is such a phenomenal cook. Well, okay, so I wanted to bring you guys together because I think you have something really strong in common, and that is that you all have characters that you bring to life. So, of course, Nora being the most obvious, right? Because she was on Saturday Night Live, and she's brought a gazillion characters to life through sketch comedy over the years. But even Lane as a dancer, you take on almost a different personality every time you go into a dance. And of course, fashion is all about bringing new personalities to life and sort of new personas to life. So I guess I would start with Nora, and I would ask, you know, of all these characters that you've developed over the years, and I know you have a new play coming up, Mythical Proportions, where there are more and more characters. Does every one of those characters have some of you in it?
Well, I steal most of my characters from other performers.
Where they would go?
I don't know, because, Gilda Radner, was said to have gone into the costume department and put that big wig on and just turned into Rosanna Dana. So sometimes it's something like I'll put on a big pair of glasses and that character comes out that way. It's not more of an acting sort of thing with me. It's like I hear an accent. I pick up on something. I do a character in my show who's based on Robert Evans because, he tells all these great showbiz stories. And her name is Roberta Evans, and she has his voice. And then she tells all these, fictitious stories about Hollywood.
And she's one of the new characters in
Yeah.
mythical proportions.
So it comes from a lot of different directions for me. Although, I don't know. I think most actors will tell you they have to, everything that it's going to come from somewhere.
Right.
Either it's something that's important that you have, or you have a personality disorder, or several disorders. I don't
How
know,
helpful for what you do.
So I think there's a lot of different stuff going on in that kind of creation.
Well, the reason I ask this question is, so I interview a lot of artists, of course, and one of my very favorite interviews, and I quote her all the time, is with the legendary Joyce Piven. And I asked Joyce, well, so many wonderful people have come out of the Piven Theater Workshop, John Cusack and Joan Cusack, and Lily Taylor and Aidan Quinn, and of course her son Jeremy. And I said, what is it that makes them all so successful? And her answer was, because they are truly themselves. So they're not trying to pigeonhole themselves into what someone else expects them to be. And I guess that's why I wondered if there was a little bit of you in everything.
Well, I studied in San Francisco at the Gene Sheldon acting workshop, which is called No Acting Please. And when you were working with a teacher, if you were, acting, they would just go blah, 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 blah. They wouldn't listen to you until you became real. And so it has to come from a real place and not a fakey acting place.
Right, and I think that's what she meant, is that it comes from something from within. And you must find this as well in dance, that clearly dance is something you feel throughout your whole body, but that it's a cornerstone of that person coming through in that dance exercise, that it's got to come from, that specific person's sentiment, feeling, emotion, power, passion.
Well, and the word you just said, emotion, for me in my work is the key word, because most of the dances that we create are not narrative, so they're not literal characters. And sometimes the reaction to the music varies from performance to performance. So it's an emotional, it's a physical manifestation of an emotional reaction to a piece of music. And that can change from day to day. So, of course, which is the thrill of live performance, every time we do it, it's slightly different because the filter has changed from yesterday to today. So the pieces that we do continue to evolve. We do have some works in our repertory that are narrative, and we talk about how to manifest particular character traits and things like that. But for the most part, a lot of the work is not that direct.
And what about for you, Peach? Do you feel that every time you get a design in mind, is it with a person or a character, or is it really, I'd like to use this fabric, I like this line, I like this design?
For me, it has absolutely nothing to do with whatsoever what the fabric is doing. I could care less because I'm the boss. No, it depends on, I ask myself, I'm a child of the 60s, I'm older than dirt, and what my childhood was filled with Andy Warhol and hippies and peace signs, and so I always ask myself, would Edie Sedgwick wear it? She was such a figure to me. I was at that age where I just looked at those eyelashes and said, oh, me please. And I wasn't old enough to wear the eyelashes, but it also depends on what music I'm listening to. You'll see and you'll go, oh, David Bowie. So it depends on what I play, a different bunch of CDs, and that's how the collection comes together. Generally has nothing to do with the fabric.
So all of these collections then really...
it sounds bad, doesn't it? Yeah.
All these collections then really are coming from you.
They're all me.
They're all you, different yous, I guess.
Right, and I will tell you, if I'll make something and Wayne will come upstairs, my husband, God bless him, all these years he's tolerated me, and he'll come upstairs and he'll say, aren't we in a mood? Depending, because you can see if I'm not feeling it or if I'm grumpy or if I've just been irritated, and those are the ones that go in the bin that just go away. So
So
how
you
you're
filter
feeling,
through. Yes, of
right, and
course.
what person you are that day, and it's usually manic. But whatever person you are that day is what you produce, and if it's good, you keep it. If it's not, it goes in that box.
Which is interesting because a lot of my characters come right out of polyester and lycra. Just like, bang, I got it. So
Which is why I like you. Yeah, right.
Well, you have a tweet.
They stretch.
They do stretch. They're forgiving. It's a forgiving thing.
Thank God.
Spandex
Thank
is our
God.
friend, yes.
So we have a tweet for Nora, and a good clap for spandex, apparently. So we have a tweet for Nora, and that is, it's from Claire A. Bell 28. So Claire A. Bell, thank you for tweeting in. You are going to win 2 tickets to Nora's Mythical Proportion, which comes at the Acorn Theater in June, is it not?
Yes.
The Acorn Theater in Michigan, at Three Oaks, Michigan in June.
Yeah.
And her question for you is, what has been your favorite movie making experience?
I would have to say Three Kings.
Really?
Because I got to spend a lot of time with George Clooney.
Yeah, hello.
Forget the acting part. We just
Right.
hung out together.
Hello.
But no, because I think that was probably the best role I got in a movie. My character had an arc. I was one of only 2 women on the set in a desert with men.
Yeah, no, it's really hard to go wrong.
And no porta potties, but still I dealt with it. But yeah, I think that was my best experience.
And
Yeah.
George Clooney, as we know, is a big fan of pigs and treating them in a nice, humane way.
He would not be
His
happy
pig
with this.
his pig lived to be 20.
I know, he
Yeah.
had a pet pig. Did you guys know that, George Clooney? Yes, that lovely pet
And
pig.
he did not eat it, but
No,
he was.
he did not eat it.
We may be.
I was just wondering, is this...
No, but this pig was happy.
Oh,
This-
right. It's a
Yes,
happy
this pig
pig.
was happy.
Well, so was George's. I just thought maybe we were eating George's pig.
No. Okay, so talking about all these crazy characters, maybe we should have a pro do a crazy character. What do you think?
I'm not doing that.
Nora?
But well,
Please?
I'm actually not doing a character, but I
Or be
chose
yourself.
something. I chose something else because, oops, thank you. No, I'm not going to do a character because we don't have enough time to get in costume. No, because tonight we're doing a show that's, we're eating meat. So I do have a show, Mythical Proportions, and there's different stories told in this show. And this one is just a story about Los Angeles. Years ago, I was at a party in the Hamptons in Long Island, and a fashion photographer was there. And she ended up telling me that I was hopelessly Midwestern. And I mean, thank you. I didn't know that it was an insult, and because I am, I'm Midwestern. When someone asks me if I've had work done, I think they're talking about, did I remodel my bathroom? Did I build a deck? I like sports. I have a Hawks jersey, and I wear it. I actually wear it when I go out to watch the Hawks. I take a bus over a taxi. So I'm hopelessly middle class and hopelessly Midwestern. Well, even though I grew up here in Chicago on the west side, I did live in Los Angeles, and I lived there for 16 years before I moved back. And I'm not one who hates Los Angeles. There's things about it I love. I love the fact that it's a metropolis with a wilderness. I love the horses. I love the hills. I love the Pacific Ocean. I love the weather there in winter. But there's things about the culture that don't agree with me. I'm not comfortable going out alone in Los Angeles to eat. And in Chicago, I have no problem with that. But recently I was in LA, and I stepped into a restaurant because I was early for a meeting, and it was called Cafe Gratitude. The hostess did not seem grateful to see me. For one thing, when you go out to eat alone, I'm by myself. Do you see a posse with me? But everyone will, you walk in, the hostess says, are you alone? Party of one? And I said, yes, I am alone. Seat me in a corner table where I can weep. There's no such thing as a table for one, by the way. I was a waitress for many years. They start at 2 tops. There's no 1 tops in a restaurant. So I was sat at a 2 top. I sat alone at my 2 top. I planned on ordering a razor blade and asking where the bathroom was, but it turned out to be a vegan restaurant. They didn't sell razor blades.
Not that I mind, I actually like vegetables and I eat my vegetables, but they had interesting names for the food there. Their burger was called the Magical. You know, I said, if this veggie burger had any magic, it would transform itself into a beef burger. But I will have the Magical, thank you very much. So I ordered the Magical burger, and then I said I would like to have a coffee with that. Well, they said, oh, you want a Courageous. The coffee was called Courageous. I said, waiter, Rosa Parks was courageous. Coffee, not so much. So I ordered the Courageous, and I said that I would like to have milk with that. And she said, well, we don't have milk. We're vegans. Would you like some almond milk? I said, who has the time to squeeze a quarter cup of milk out of an almond? Is there some kind of a factory somewhere, like a minimum wage factory with people lined up on a conveyor belt, squeezing almonds for milk? Doesn't that hurt the almond? Doesn't that hurt the worker? It's unethical. I'll have my coffee, Rosa Parks. And this is true. As I finished my dinner, a lost waiter came up with 2 steaming cups of something, and he said, did you order 2 Immortals? I said, even vegans aren't going to live forever. When I left the restaurant, I shared a quote with the receptionist. Lives live on lives. Vegetarians are just eating something that can't run away. Have a nice day.
That's a true story. Now, is there ever a character that you wouldn't want to be?
Who wouldn't I want to be?
Is there anything that you would refuse, that you would just say, I couldn't do this?
Ann Romney? Not interesting enough for me. Not enough there.
Not enough there to do.
Not enough there.
Yeah, not enough there. Well, Lane, I wonder for you, and also for everybody, we're talking about characters, and you guys have such distinct characteristics about you. So it's been often said that you are country club chic, and you, of course, are working with American Tap, and so this is really your specialty, and you are comedy. Do you ever feel pigeonholed? Like you're, country club chic, so you're stuck in something, or do you ever feel that you're getting cast in certain roles again and again, or do you ever feel, Tap is a pretty large world, and you've made it very large, but do you ever feel stuck or pigeonholed?
Oh, absolutely. When you say tap dance, most people have a fairly strong image that pops into their head, right. Whether it's patent leather shoes, or I don't know if you all have seen the Luna carpet commercial that's running on the air right now, and yeah, some of you have seen it, and the little girl in the tutu jumping up and down with her tap shoes, and that's a lot of times when people say, oh, you're a tap dancer, that's so cute. And I'm like, thank you. So yes, to a certain extent, we sort of get a little dismissed as tap dancers, and I remind them not to go serious on them, which I do pretty quickly. But the first people who stomped the earth were priests. They stomped the earth for rain, for war, for crops. They were considered to be the people who were the connection between the spirit and the earth. And fast forward 6,000 years or 8,000 years, and we've got patent leather shoes and top hats. So we're so far removed from our history as human beings that we've sort of forgotten where the impetus to stomp the earth with our feet actually came from.
And you brought that back.
You brought that back. Absolutely right.
My daughter took tap for years and years and years at a studio, and it was pretty tap. And she said, I want to do the kind where you, like the guys dancing in the streets, and she took Lane's Summer Intensive, and she came out. First day she cried, and then, because it was so hard, she thought her shoes were still attached to her feet in the back room. And then the second day she came out and she said, I like it. And she's never been the same since, because she got a different, you're bringing tap forward, but you're bringing it back in a very relatable, but a broader way of looking at the art form.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I had never really thought about that until you said it. But when I think of tap, I mean, I can see where it could be classified as pretty or
happy
or yes, or
oh, that's so
light.
cute.
Hands out to get
Yes,
to right one of
just
these.
hands or
Right.
yes, I mean,
Yeah.
very sort of.
Which aren't bad things, but it's
Right.
not. But it's not all that it is. That's
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
Right.
maybe you can actually take us one step back, because how many people know about the Chicago Human Rhythm Project? Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, still, for everybody watching on wonderful Time Out Chicago,
That's me. That's me. Yeah, it's Nora.
it's Lane. It's Lane. So, tell us exactly what is the Chicago Human Rhythm Project?
Well, that's a very good question. I'll try to keep that short because we do a lot of things. We started as a summer festival, and we grew into a year-round presenter. So we're a little bit like, without flattering the organization, we're a little bit like Ravinia. We present other tap artists, companies, soloists, percussive dance ensembles. We obviously do have a resident ensemble that you all saw part of them perform tonight. We do education in elementary and high schools 5 days a week, after school outreach programs. But there's the other part of our mission is to foster social reconciliation and to build community, because the art form's roots are in African and Irish traditions. And that really struck a nerve in me, that it was a positive outcome of the collision of two cultures under very less than positive circumstances, but something positive came of that collision, and it's a cause for celebration. So we try to use rhythm in all of our performances and our education programs to remind people that it's a positive thing that came out, and that it's a universal expression, that it's something that we can share together.
Yes, definitely. I don't think I knew that it was a collision of Irish and African rhythms coming together.
As there are logs of captains on ships written when the slaves were brought up from the holds of ships crossing the Atlantic to stretch. Some of them would do dances that were from their villages, and some of the Irish seamen who had been pressed into service by the British or the Portuguese or the Spanish, who are also not free men, would respond with some of their own Irish steps. And so actually the story goes that American tap dance was born on the Atlantic Ocean in between, because that was the first time that the Africans and the Irish saw each other dancing.
Yeah.
And then once they hit the shore, then it's the process of evolution started. So it's actually, over a 300-year-old art form.
Wow, how cool is that? I don't think I fully realized
Most
that.
people don't know that little chapter of American history.
How cool is that?
Why sometimes I get up in the morning and I start to jig. I never knew where it came from. I never had lessons.
But you're Irish.
Somehow, yeah.
That a girl.
I'm Irish.
Well, I wonder, I interview a lot of artists, and I always ask them, how did you come to do what you do? And they all say, well, I'm driven to it. I don't have a choice. So I can see where, you don't have a choice for dance. It's in your blood. But how did you decide tap specifically?
Well, my parents are jazz musicians. My mom was a vocalist. My father was a trumpet player. My stepfather was a percussionist. And so they threw my sister and me into classes at a very early age, which I pursued for a year, and then I quit because I was the only boy, and I didn't want to be the only boy. But I did continue playing the drums through college. But I was studying law. They say, lawyers' children want to be actors,
Right.
and
Yes.
actors' children want to be lawyers, or
Yeah,
not
very
always.
much,
But
yeah.
so maybe I was rebelling. Well, so anyway, I was working at a law library at late hours, binding books, and realizing that law wasn't what I wanted to do, because after the law library, I would go dancing every night. So I quit school, which I don't recommend, and pursued a career in dance, and never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, all this talk about dance, should we see Lane do a little bit of dancing?
Cheers.
Wink up.
Okay, so for this to actually happen, we have to, God help us, we have to move our stage. So we're going to have another word from our sponsors, and maybe you can just wish us some luck. We're going to see if we can move this stage and make some room for Lane.
Grab your drink.
Everyone grab your drink.
Holy smokes.
Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions. Paperweights are the crown jewels of glass artistry. You can discover both antique and modern paperweights at the L.H. Selman Gallery in Chicago's Fine Arts Building.
So join me in welcoming to the dance floor now, not the stage, but the dance floor, Lane Alexander.
Choreographed in Leipzig, Germany. It's to a Bach French suite. So I went to the Thomaskirche, which was the church where Bach was in residence for the greater part of his career, and I tried to find the spot in the church where I knew he had stood, and I stood there, several places actually, and I said, okay, Johann, hit me, right? And so I tried to channel his spirit as I was choreographing this piece in Leipzig, and it premiered at Ravinia some years ago, and so this is a French suite by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Dance floor back into a stage.
Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions. Paperweights are the crown jewels of glass artistry. You can discover both antique and modern paperweights at the L.H. Selman Gallery in Chicago's Fine Arts Building.
Elaine said to me side stage, "Oh, good, now I can drink my beer." So yes, your work is over, and you can jump into the beer. I want to remind everyone to send us your tweets so you can be a part of the conversation. And of course, that's true for everybody on Time Out Chicago. But it's also true if you are done eating here at the main stage. So hopefully you all got a code to the Act One Pub wireless. And so you should have that on the white piece of paper that you got at the box office today. So you should all have your codes, and you can Twitter in as well now that you are done and ready. So I do have a tweet for Lane, and that is coming from, yeah, you can still drink. It's
yeah, keep
okay.
drinking. You have another, yeah.
And that is coming
Give you mine.
from Dolly Rum. And Dolly, good for you, because you have just won 2 tickets to Windy City Rhythms, which is May 10th and 11th.
Yes.
Is that right?
The 10th is sold out, so tickets are still available for the 11th.
Okay, so Allie's getting her ticket for the 11th. And that is Windy City Rhythms is celebrating National Tap Day. And you have done so much for tap. I wondered was that your doing, National Tap Day?
No, no. Actually, it was Representative John Conyers from Michigan and Senator Alfano D'Amato from New York, who in 1988, it must have been a slow year, they passed a joint resolution of the United States House and Senate proclaiming May 25th to be National Tap Dance Day, which is Bill Robinson's birthday.
Very cool.
How great is that? How great is that? Well, her tweet for you is, not if you had something to do with National Tap Day, but how do you think percussive dance communicates emotion to an audience? Great question.
Yeah, well, a couple of ways. One, very directly, depending on where you're seated and how it's amplified, you can actually feel it, the vibration. And sometimes it's very subtle and you're not necessarily aware of it. But I don't know if you've ever been to a taiko. A more extreme example would be taiko drumming. I just saw a group called Tsukasa Taiko, which is based here in Chicago. And I was in like the 3rd row. And literally I felt like I was being blown back into my seat. You could just feel the vibrations of the drums. And to a certain extent, I think that's true also of percussive dance and American tap. You can feel it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you can sense it. Yes. And it goes back to what I was talking about in terms of being primal, that even if we're not really connected to our roots, we feel that connection when we see something that comes from that far, that long ago. So I think it reconnects us to our roots.
That's nice. So you think that dance reconnects you to yourself?
Absolutely.
Really? Wow, how wonderful. Well, that kind of brings us back a little bit to where we started with characters and how there's a little bit of us in each character that we have. You, of course, have created so many styles, but now you're sort of working on, can I say, country club chic? Is that still true?
Sure,
Did
yeah.
you define that to you?
Tim Gunn said that at one point, and you do this when Tim Gunn, talks to you.
He's a character.
I will say yes, Tim Gunn is more wonderful than you hope he is, but he was so sharp, and he had said to me during one of my audition, my first callback, he said, I presented 2 tennis pieces, and he said, don't you get it? This is your niche, this is what you're doing, and that made me step back and look, and that is who I am. I do a more conservative look. I have to really concentrate on dropping the neckline a little bit, but
all right.
Yeah, I mean, look. So, right? Some things, So I guess being told that was my aesthetic, I was everywhere, and it made me pull back and look at who I am. And I love that, and I celebrate that. And if you see what I do, you'll see, I guess it could go country club, but I'm trying to get a little more edgy. But my friend April on the show does really dark, dramatic, and that's not who I am. I love her, and I would kill to be able to do that, but it's not in me. So if it's not in you, it's not going to come out here.
Well, that's very interesting because I have the exact opposite impression of reality TV in that they're trying to force you or encourage you to be something else than what you are. So it's interesting to hear that you would say you had a really positive experience there and that you didn't feel that it was tough to sort of be yourself.
No, and I will tell you, I think Project Runway is, I've been involved in a couple other reality things. It is so different because what they do is they truly open the doors, give you scissors, and shove you in and close the doors. There's no plotting, there's no suggested lines, there's not go bother her. They just throw in the scissors and step back like gasoline on a fire and go, well, all right. So you get to be who you are because some people go on shows like that to be a character.
Right, yes.
Some people do it for a business. I wanted to see if I had it. I didn't do it on purpose. My daughter sent in the application, or she filled it out. But
did you know that she was
oh,
sending
yeah,
it in?
well, she let me finish it, but she sat, downloaded it and said, don't make me sit here while you do it. I never would have done it on my own, but it really showed me who I was as a designer, because I was all over the place, just all over.
So it forced you to sort of hone in and focus on
really examine who you are. And then I made some crazy stuff on the show, and then I came home and could take a breath and listen to the advice I got from people like Joanna Coles and Heidi Klum and Michael Kors and Tim Gunn. I mean, where do you get that?
Yeah,
so that made me look at who I was, and what I do is who I am.
Yeah,
I
well,
would just say
that's
it's great to sit and get the inside view, because I mean, I've seen every season of Project Runway. Because it's a creative show.
Yes, it's a really
other
creative
people,
show.
The housewives, they don't do anything. They don't have any,
Right,
they're
nothing's
just there, whatever.
Right.
But these are all designers that come together. Tim Gunn's from the Parsons School of
Right.
Design, and it's really about making something and doing something, and the personalities come out of that. You can't plan that.
No. It's kind of a little bit of a freak wagon, but that's part of the fun part about it. Like my first day, we were trying to figure out who's who and learning names, and we had Michael Costello and Michael Drummond. Well, I couldn't tell the difference, and somebody said Michael, and I said Dirty Mike or Little Mike, because Michael Costello had a terrible mouth. He's a great guy, but you didn't want to talk and have your child see it on TV. So we wound up trying to figure each other out in the same time of figuring out who we were as a designer. It's an amazing thing.
It's really an interesting process, because I should say I also have the opposite view of LA. Like, is it hard to be yourself in that environment? I always think of Chicago as such a nurturing place for the arts, and LA is a really hard place for the arts.
But you know what? There's so many levels of Los Angeles. It's not, I don't go too much into the world of show business, believe it or not, because I've been known when I'm at a party and I'm talking to an important producer, I become narcoleptic. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at that world. I don't make those connections. But there's so many other things going on that are very real. So many people go to Los Angeles to pursue a certain dream.
Yes.
That's just kind of the frosting is show business. So
there are other layers then to LA,
yeah.
and you can get to that.
Obviously, I don't like going out alone there. It's weird. It's not friendly the way Chicago is. Bartenders are friendly. I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
Chicago is like, and I was in Forest Park last week, and sitting out there, I was at a party, and I was waiting for these people to write and meet these, talk about characters. They have these accents.
Yeah,
and they go, let me tell you something. Hombre, he pitched the no-hitter tomorrow. Take it from me. You know what it's going to say? Unbelievable. You heard it here first. I'm like, this is why I came home.
How many years were you
in LA? 16 years.
16 years.
Yes.
And when did you come back here officially? 2008? No, 9?
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Do you miss LA, or are you just sort of
Well, I go
getting
back
ready?
and forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, your Mythical Proportions is also going to be playing in LA, right?
In North Hollywood in July.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so I have a tweet here for Peach, and I will say, let me find it here. So, okay. Sorry. I'm really hoping one day Apple gives me an iPad, because I can't afford one, and it's really hard to see tweets on my phone. So maybe one day that will come through, but for right now, I have to find it.
I have glasses.
And here it is. Okay, from @BSwift. @BSwift, nice job. You get a Peach Carr t-shirt. How cute is this? How cute is this? Great job tweeting in @BSwift. So @BSwift's question for you is, what is the most important lesson that Project Runway has taught you about yourself?
I think Project Runway, it's pull up your big girl pants and move on. I think it really, I never had self-confidence. I never called myself as a designer. Somebody would say, what do you do? And I would say, well, I'm a dressmaker, or I'm a tailor. I never said fashion designer. And Project Runway gave me the identity I think I've been searching for 50 years for. And it gave me an opportunity at 50, who gets this, right? I worked in a hospital my whole life. I didn't go to fashion school. I was trained in 4-H and Mrs. Murphy's back porch. So at 50, I get this opportunity to say, see if you can do it. And it showed me what I was made of, and really how many sweat glands I had that could produce at one time.
Well, we have one more tweet, but I think hearing that, why why don't we see some of Peach's fashion so that we can all get a really better sense? Yeah, and then we'll take our tweet afterwards. So, as I understand it, Peach is going to walk us through a little fashion show.
I make sure I pull up my tights.
Yes, pull up your tights.
Okay, so this is just kind of a random smattering of a couple different shows I did. And I'm taking you from, it's called tennis, but some people play tennis in it. It's meant to play a game, tennis match, and then kick off your shoes and put in some flats and then go to lunch or whatever. But it's all very wearer friendly. I like the A-line cut because you got a little room in the old caboose. And it's all machine washable and hanging over a chair. Also, my entire line, every single piece is made in Chicago. Thank you. I was born here in Chicago, and when I made the decision to start producing, I really wanted to leave my money here and try and do what I could to stimulate some kind of not only the economy, but we have the potential here. There's a lot of great designers. There's a lot of people looking for jobs. There's a lot of industry, I guess, that could be produced here. So I will not be producing anywhere but Chicago. All right, so it's just thank you. I don't know, you'll see. Okay, first I have Donna.
Cute.
I know.
Cute.
Isn't she darling? So this is just a little, I put lace on things because even though they're women athletes, they're still women. And why not celebrating, being a woman athlete? They're strong, but they're pretty. Okay, the shoes I got at a tranny store, and I did them for my first fashion show, and I was so proud of myself. And then Dolce & Gabbana did them, I think, like the next season, and now you can't buy them anymore. So what I have, and people have to just shove their feet in. So this is just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like a fun little skirt. You can play tennis in it, or you can go to dinner in it, or go to lunch, and the shirt is kind of versatile. I don't know what else to say. All right, thank you, baby.
Thank you.
I don't have a shop. I'll never have a shop because I don't have that much hair to pull out. But I do have some things in a few shops locally, but I also have a website, Peach Carr Designs, and things can be purchased off of the website. Okay, we have Megan. Come on out, Megan.
This is so cute.
This is my custom prints, and it says boys are made of greasy, grimy gopher guts. Because they are. That's my sister is a graphic artist by trade, and she called me one day and says, I got this great idea. And then a little, lace racer back just to kind of girl it up a little bit. But I don't know, it makes me laugh, and I just thought it was funny. So there, thank you, Megan. So that's, I don't know, it's funny. Now we have the lovely Autumn. And, neon's big and animal print is big, so why not throw the two together? Again, here's my nod to my 60s roots, right? Do you see the 60s in this a little bit?
Yes.
Again, just, just fun. It's just I don't take myself seriously. It's just fun. So I know neon is big, and to me, it's pretty kind of obnoxious and hard to wear. So a little color blocking. Usually I do pockets, but this one I felt was a little busy anyway. A little turquoise trim never hurt anybody. Again, throw it in the washing machine, take it out and stick it on a chair and let it dry. It's also everything here I categorize as the walk of shame clothes because you can put this in a Ziploc bag and put it in your purse. And then if you just don't make it home, change. Nobody knows. Thank you. Thank you. All right, this is Stephanie. This was a surprise to me. I made this for a runway show, and it was just I was messing around with this fabric, and it just kind of fell over the dress form's arm, and then I started messing with it a little bit more, and I sent it down my runway, and this has been the biggest seller and the biggest surprise. Again, you cannot wrinkle this stuff. This stuff is great. So I do this in I did it in a zebra, and it didn't work, so I'm sending it to a transgender friend of mine who said, I'll take the zebra. I said, take the zebra. So, but it works best in black, and this is my magic black fabric. I'll never tell anybody till the day I die where I get this stuff, because it's fabulous. But again, it's just wearer-friendly, and it's all cut on an A-line, but there she is. Thanks, baby. Okay, now we have Ashley. This is our last one here.
Oh, I like this one.
Again, it's all stretch. This is stretch sequins.
Really?
It has a built-in shelf bra, ladies, in the front to hold the girls up a little. Again, it was one of those things where I was flipping through my fabric selections and I thought, why not take it one step further from day to evening? How about a little cocktail? But with this baby, when you take it home, somebody spills wine on you, you dunk it in the sink and hang it over a chair and it's done.
Yeah.
So, and then again, do you see the 60s, 70s? You know, you could just see me listening to some crazy music. And again, Edie Sedgwick would have worn this.
Sedgwick would have worn
She
this.
would have worn this.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's what I'm doing right now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, wait a minute. This is another thing of mine. Sorry, hon. You can stay right here, baby. This is another custom print. It was lace from the turn of the century, and we superimposed it and photoed it. But it's this thing I put in a sandwich bag to go on a plane to Dallas, and I shook it out of the sandwich bag, and it looks like this. There we are.
I want you to sell to Serena Williams.
Oh, Serena could use a toning down, right? Although she would wear like the sequin with maybe, you know, some crazy
She would
stuff.
run it all over the map.
She could pull off the shoes.
I had an idea I wanted to ask you. I don't mean to put you on the spot like this.
Go right ahead, Lane.
But we're doing a concert at the Kennedy Center in December, and we're premiering a new work there. And I would love to talk to you about designing costumes for this new work for the Kennedy
Did you hear
yes,
that?
thank you.
Everyone's getting more food. So tell them again,
Oh my
when
God.
he's performing at the Kennedy Center, so this is hot off the presses, you're performing at the Kennedy Center in December.
Well, the Human Rhythm Project has been invited to create an evening-length concert for the Eisenhower Theater at the Kennedy Center, December 7th this year. And BAM will be premiering a new work, and I would love to get a new design from you for the costumes for that work.
I would be beyond honored.
That would be so great.
Okay, hold him to it.
We all heard it.
It's not the tap dance speaking. No, I'm just, and I just want to say, I'm like so starstruck sitting here with these two people. When I met Nora, came over and put her hand on my shoulder, and I was looking for cleanup in aisle 3 because I think you're fabulous, and to have this happen, I admire you, and God, okay, thank you, yes.
Boy, well, if you are starstruck, then
I am.
Then imagine how I feel, because it works for me. So.
No, thank you. Oh gosh, yeah.
So I have one more tweet, and this is for the whole table. It is from V. Blair, and he is winning 2 tickets to the MCA. So V. Blair, nice job for you. And his question to all of you is, what is your biggest fear, and how do you face it creatively? Nora?
Oh, I think ultimately it's always whether or not you're going to be well received.
Yes.
Like, I don't like to think of that too much because I just do what I do and I put it out there. But sometimes I let myself think, well, if the thing I love the most, which is my own performance live, I love writing my own material, performing my own characters, and I would hate to, I sometimes ask myself, am I obsolete? Is anybody going to care? That's only at your,
Yes, at your, yes.
That's before I do the jig in the morning. But yeah, I think that's the only thing really is, am I going to be able to continue to work?
Right. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I interview a lot of artists, and Frank Orell of Poi Dog Pondering describes it like this, and to me this makes so much sense, that you have an idea and you do something, and then there's always this lull when you think like, it's not working, I'm not going to be able to do it, how am I going to power through? And he says, I have to whip out the machete and just break through, and I do that work, and there's no way around it. You got to do that work, and then I sort of come out the other end. But it's always a process, and it always includes a low, basically, of self-doubt.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, I think one of my fears that I face and I hope I've overcome is that that I won't be creative anymore. That my creativity will stop, And I don't believe that. I do believe it's infinite. Not that I'm infinite, but it's connected to an infinite source. And that you have, sometimes you are still and quiet and it doesn't flow easily, but that it will come back.
Yes.
It will come back.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have to wait for it. You can't force it.
You know, it's really interesting. We had Billy Bungeroth here in February, who's from J.C. Brooks and the Uptown Sound, and he said it's in those quiet moments when you think that nothing creative is happening that you're actually taking in, so that you can be creative later. And without that input of finding somebody in Forest Park or, you know, a stretch fabric that you find that gives you this idea or that idea, if without that input, you would never create. So you need those kind of lull times. I don't know.
My sister is brilliant. She's funny, but she's smart. And Julie has always said, art is just a collection of images and what you do with those images. So, you know, you say that downtime, but you don't realize what you're looking at
is filing away.
Taps into the head,
yes,
right, goes in the file box and it comes out at the craziest times, but what you're looking at on a daily basis can be a little, you know, inspiration.
Yes. Well, what I find is that that's why it's so important to get out. I know that sounds crazy, but because we're all so busy and we're in our holes and we're working on our projects that are so important and we're, you know, at the work table and you've got, you know, Kennedy Center coming up and you can just get tunneled. You can tunnel yourself. And so it's really important for me to sort of walk the dog in a different neighborhood, or do you know what I mean? Just like get out in different ways and free myself from myself. Yeah.
Well, I have a question for Peach, which is about fashion. How much of the time do you worry that you have to rely on your instincts of what you're going to create? And does it get in the way to think what is going to be fashionable or what is going to be in?
You know, not good to admit because you just saw my stuff, but I don't, I pay attention. Boy, I know what every collection is. I see the collections, I look at all the books, I know what's happening. But if I am feeling gray and yellow isn't necessarily going to be happening for fall, Peach Carr Designs is going to have gray and yellow. I will pull a little something if when lace was in. Okay, fine. So I made a lace coat one time. It was fabulous, and everybody thought I was crazy, and they said, "Well, lace is coming, but it's not here. We think lace is coming." I said, "Well, I think lace is here." So I made this lace coat, and everybody thought I was crazy, and it was gold, and it had this pale white underneath it. And then Michelle Obama walks down Pennsylvania Avenue in the lace coat, and I stood up and said, "Oh, now lace is here." So then lace was there, and I lucked out. How about peplums? I made a peplum dress, and Michael Kors goes, "Oh, honey, ain't nobody wearing peplums." I said, "All right." But so sometimes you luck out, but I pay attention to what's happening, but I don't always. Like what you saw here, the neon giraffe, I threw that in because I did a fashion show that was neon themed. But most of what you saw me do isn't necessarily following a trend, but it could pigeonhole into a trend. But I do pay attention, and sometimes I'll tweak a collection to make sure that it's reflecting of who else is on the runway. If everybody's doing animal print, I'll throw a little, I love me some zebra, but I'll throw something like that in. But it is hard to stand your ground and put your hands on your hips and say, this is who I am, and it's not necessarily what's happening everywhere else.
Well, all this talk about fashion and what's happening and themes, I'd love to check in with our illustrator and see what Rosemary has going on. So Rosemary, show me a couple things that we have here.
Yeah.
Her drawings are fantastic.
They're gorgeous.
I don't know if you guys have been looking over her shoulder.
They're gorgeous.
Now, is this
Am I
Peach?
statuesque? Am I statuesque?
Peach, that's you.
Oh, hello, look at me.
That's great. This is absolutely
I look
fabulous.
about 5'9".
She's a fashion illustrator.
Wow.
Oh, Lane. Oh, Lane.
Oh, pretty.
Wow.
Hell with George Clooney. Right? Call George. Look what I got.
Since you started.
Amazing.
So she's been doing these. Can you guys get them on camera?
She's amazing.
So she's been doing these about 15 minutes at a pop. Well, I hate to say this, but looking at all the skinny models that came through and how slender everybody is here, it just makes me want more food.
Oh,
So, here's one more.
6'2".
Isn't
I'm
this
loving
great?
that too.
So let's take. Oh, and that's me. Okay, wait. We'll just show you how. This is a thin me,
God
which
bless
says
her.
that I need.
We all lost 10
I'll take
pounds.
it. I'll
Just
take
says I
it.
need a little bit more food. So we're going to check in with Paul Kahan and see what he's got for our entree. Thank you, Rosemary. That was super great. Let's see what Paul's
I've got one
for
that I
us.
look great in string bikini.
Hey, you guys, I'm back. The entree that we're preparing tonight is kind of a strange surf and turf, again, from our deranged minds. It's a combination of pork belly that's glazed with Calabrian chilies, and it's served with, I guess the surf would be a combination of Spanish chorizo that we make here in-house, manila clams, shallots, a little bit of vermouth, and then we're going to top the whole surf and turf with a really fresh salad of fava beans and fresh asparagus. All right, so to start the dish, we start with just some sliced shallots. You know shallots, it's not garlic, it's not onion, it's a shallot. And we're just gonna sweat the flavor out of those gently. We season everything as we go with a little bit of salt and pepper. Builds layers of flavor. So salt and pepper. And then in goes our Spanish chorizo. Just gonna slice it real thin here. Chris, what's in the Spanish chorizo?
It's pork fat, pork, paprika, garlic, all hand cut. We tried doing it in a grinder, it just didn't get the texture that we're trying to go for.
Hand cut.
Just doesn't cook up quite right.
In goes the chorizo. Not too spicy. It's dry cured for a while, intensifies all the flavor. And then these little guys, manila clams. Jack up the heat a little bit. And then dry vermouth. A little bit of stock. And that's going to combine to make for an amazing sauce. A little more salt and pepper. Am I forgetting anything, boss?
No?
So all these great flavors, the chorizo, the clams, the juice from the clams specifically, are going to blend together and make for an amazing sauce that we're going to top the braised pork belly with. And then to finish, like I said, a simple salad of fava beans that have been blanched and peeled, raw asparagus, and we're just going to dress it with a little more of our Pulbican quality olive oil. When you have great ingredients, you really don't need much, and that's sort of what it's all about here. You can come to the Pulbican, you can have a great lunch, you can come here for a private event, you can come here to shop. We offer a lot of stuff, and it's all done with a lot of love and care. Clams are popping. We're just gonna enrich the sauce with a little bit of butter. Just kind of work that in. Oh, spitting. Don't need salt. Maybe a couple grams of pepper. And just let that reduce, let the butter melt. And that's gonna go on top of our pork belly that's glazed with Calabrian chilies. A couple of clams. Some sausage. Some shallots. Some of this awesome broth. It's the nectar. And then we finish it all with a slaw, if you will, a spring slaw of asparagus and fava beans. Ah, there she blows. Pulbican Quality Meats. It's been awesome to have you guys here at Pulbican Quality Meats. Please come by and try what we so lovingly put together. Great sausages, great homemade salamis, great fresh baked bread, great sandwiches, great charcuterie that's made with our own hands. Try it out, come have a drink with us.
This is really delicious.
This is so good.
Good,
This
I'm glad
is
you liked
so
it.
good. So tell me again about your philosophy regarding food. Because I want to hear the whole, I know that you treat animals really well, which is one of the reasons why I asked you to be here. But I want to hear about the whole philosophy of sort of simple cooking and...
Well, I guess it's not too different from being a fashion designer. I haven't been here to hear the whole thing, but I think for me, we start with ingredients. I don't, maybe it's different. I know there are a lot of great chefs that have a vision or an idea, and that's how they start. I start with fava beans or asparagus or a great pig. it's all about seasonality. We change our menus all the time. I'm sure fashion, seasonality too. You got to keep it current. No white in winter, you know. But that's really it. The philosophy is very simple. I mean, I think our 6 businesses have been built on treating people very well, treating the earth very well, treating animals very well. Everything that we do is from a sustainable standpoint. We spend a lot of extra money, hence make less money to recycle, and to, all of our restaurants are green certified. Everything that we do is from a sustainable viewpoint, because I want to sleep at night, and restaurants are one of the biggest consumers of energy and producers of waste of all the businesses that we know. People love to go out and eat, but they're hell on the earth. So we deal with almost exclusively small farmers that do things exactly the way we want. We know how they process animals, we know how they raise things, we know how they feed them, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just our responsible attitude towards running our businesses.
Yes, well, I didn't know that restaurants produce more waste than anything else.
Well, not than anything else, but they produce,
yes.
per capita, they produce a gigantic amount of waste. They use a gigantic amount of energy. Right. And there are a lot of ways to change those things, but it's going to take a lot of time.
A lot of time. I have a tweet for you, sir.
Uh-oh, which one?
Well, we'll see. This is from Angel Sandal. Where do you find the inspiration to set the food at Pulbican apart from other restaurants in Chicago's rich culinary tradition? Little side note, Angels and Doll, you are getting a Le Cordon Bleu cookbook from our lovely sponsor. This is a great cookbook. So this is your tweet prize. Thank you for tweeting.
Very nice.
Yay.
Yay. So you probably don't eat out very much because it's hard to sort of hit your standards, maybe.
Well, I mean, I work in kitchens probably on average 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, so I'm always stuffing stuff in my mouth. Tasting.
Yes.
So I really don't have a huge appetite, but I have a really large garden at home, and my wife and I've been cooking for almost 30 years professionally, and a recent development is that I can actually get home by 7:30, 8 o'clock and spend quality time with my wife of 26 years. So
she's patient.
Super patient. She's a yoga teacher, so patience is one of her Patience is one of her strongest suits.
That's funny to hear because when you go into Pulbican, I know it's a very high energy place, but it has this whole Zen thing.
I agree.
You feel very almost like spa-like when you walk in,
this
and
is a
that may
picture
be a
of-
Really?
reflection. It does
Yes,
of
this
what
is a
you're
picture
doing.
of Pulbican, and
Yeah.
of course there are no people in this picture, but it has a real sort of get zen. It does.
It is.
Huh,
It's
weird.
really a comfortable, beautiful atmosphere when you walk in. I'm serious.
Awesome. We got a darn good architect.
Which helps. So we
Yeah.
have one more question for you. We're going to take one more question for Paul, and then we're going to sign off to our Time Out Chicago viewers who've been with us, and we're going to open it up to Q&A with the audience. So audience, stay put, but we have
Ruh-roh.
one more question for Paul, and that question is, you do so much. So you have the 6 restaurants, so Pulbican.
Five restaurants and then the Violet Hour, our cocktail lounge.
Okay, so 5 restaurants and the Violet Hour. And then I'm going to see you on Thursday night for something called Common Threads. They're a wonderful organization, and you're going to be there for that not-for-profit organization. You can go to commonthreads.org and find out more information. So how do you do it all? I mean, I know you've got help, but still you are in a gazillion places almost at once.
I'm sure it's the same for all of us. We love what we do. One of my favorite stories is I went to my 20th high school reunion years ago, quite a long time ago. And so many people came up to me and they said, I hate my job. If it wasn't for my family, I don't know what I do. I'm just working towards retirement. And for me, most days I ride my bike into work. I think about food. I think about problems that I have to solve. I try to have a very positive outlook on everything. And I get in and I get to work with a lot of young, talented people, trying to make them better cooks, better people, try to make them famous. That's what they want. They want to get out there and they want name recognition and they want to cook great food and make people happy. And I've been doing it for a long time, so I have those tools, so that charges me up. But I really love my job, and 30 years in, I'm still happy. Well, everyone's like, I'm never going to retire. People that really love their job, I'm going to retire. There's no question about it, because the days are long and they're really stressful. And I will be fishing up in northern Minnesota in the next 10 or 12 years on a regular basis. My wife will be reading summer, winter. It's a beautiful scene. It's right up here in my head.
Yeah, you've already worked it out in your head. I can see.
Yeah, but really that's it. I'm really charged by. We want to be great. We push really hard to be the best at what we do. I have, a big part of it is I have great business partners that contribute. If I had to do the kitchens, the books, you name it, deal with all the things that come down the pipe, the city, the laws, I'd be insane. So there are 4 of us, and we all have different areas. When we have a new concept, one partner goes out and he finds the space and works the lease, and another partner works directly with the architect, and I do the food, and we kind of come together on the whole concept. So it's a strong team effort.
Wow, it's amazing. Well, it's a great note to end on for our Time Out people, that you love what you do, and because it's true, most people sort of get on the bus, go to work, come home, and dread the whole thing, and you're passionate about it. So I guess that's what this show is about too. I want to thank everybody at Time Out Chicago for being with us. It's been great to have you. The dinner party is the last Monday of every month, except May, because that's Memorial Day. So for the Time Out Chicago people, we will not see you in May. We will hopefully see you in June. Everybody here in the audience, stay put. We're going to turn up the lights and give you a microphone. So thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you. Really fabulous.
It's really better if we don't have to do it for 100 people. Really
So we're going to turn it over to you now, and we didn't want to turn the cameras on you.
Fabulous.
So we're just going to take 2 questions. I know lots of times the audience feels like their tweet didn't make it through, or they have something and they weren't sure how to tweet, or what have you. So we're going to kind of open it up, and I think microphones are coming around, and if any of you would like to...
Because it's like a...
Sorry, what? A question back here. Oh, there's a question back here. Okay, so our first question.
And high energy, but sad.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Cole.
Hello.
I have a question for Nora.
Yes. Nora.
To cut in the conversation.
So he has a
You're on, hon.
yes. Okay.
Hi, Nora. I'm Cole.
Hello.
I was wondering if you could do your best Lorne Michaels impression. Is that plausible?
I gotta think of that. That goes way back.
Well, when Madonna and Sean Penn were up at the apartment, I spoke to her about doing the show again. And they're thinking about it.
That's perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Everybody on the show had a great Lauren impression.
I like that one. I like that one.
Mine.
And I want to thank Paul for his question. So Paul, you're very brave to do that. So that is worth, what do you think, $25 at the Act One pub? Yes, I think that's great. So that's what Paul gets. So who else wants to ask a question? Yes. Well, actually, we're going to hold off that question, and we're going to take care of one important bit of business. Yesterday was Nora's birthday.
Oh.
Are we ready to sing?
No.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Putting on my
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nora. Happy birthday to you. So we're going to end on that note. Oh, one more question, I guess. While Laura eats her cake. Yes, one more question.
I have a question for each one of you. And you can do it quickly.
What in your careers, what has been the highlight for you that you cherish the most?
I go that way.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, what about the token dude starts?
Oh.
No.
I'm going to say standing on the runway for the very first challenge and looking out and you see the camera guys and the sound guys and then the layers and then the judges and standing there and having Heidi, and I remember the promo, my head went into my hands and they used it as, oh my God, she's out. When Heidi said, you're safe. It was like this wave of validation that everything I had ever screwed up in my entire life went off the runway with my shoes. It was just that second of validation that I've been waiting 50 years. You know, my husband gives it to me all the time. That doesn't count because he loves me. But it's that, you know, strangers who don't know you. It was personal validation after 50 years of, you know, banging my head against a wall.
Wow.
And that did it for me.
That's hard to follow up, Paul.
Yeah, sorry. You made me go first.
I have two. One's really short. It's being with the same wonderful woman for 30 years in a business where it's almost impossible. I mean, everyone, you know, and having a great relationship. She's an amazing person. That's number one. Number two, and I'm just not being corny, I really mean it. And number two is Carr Griefson, who's the chef de cuisine at Exec that works underneath me. She won the James Beard Award for Best Chef in the Midwest a few years ago. So that was, you know, it was an award that I had won years earlier. And of course, Sunday I'm going to win for Best Chef in America. You guys all know that. Chicago, tough competition, but keeping my fingers crossed.
Tell me, how many are in that? How many?
It's two chefs from New York. And David Chang, tough competition. Daniel Hum from 11 Madison Park. Nancy Silverton, who's a great baker and chef from Los Angeles, and a guy named Donald Link from New Orleans, and then me.
Yes.
So it's.
You can do it.
I can do it.
Yes, you can do it.
But being there to see Kahan win that, you know, my oldest protege winning that great award and the pride, and of course she said that she owed it all to me, her mentor. So that was pretty amazing for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one. Lane.
Well.
Pretty tough to follow up.
He threw the spouse in.
You know, so the longer you have to think about it, the more things you think of.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, but I think one was a man that I got to meet, Morton Gould. He wrote a piece for Tap Dancer and Orchestra, the Tap Dance Concerto in 1952, and he was being given an award in New York at the Plaza. By the Elaine Kaufman Foundation. And they asked me to come perform 2 movements of the concerto for him. And I had been performing it for years, but I'd never had an opportunity to actually meet the man who wrote the work in 1952. So getting to meet him was just, it was such a spectacular honor for him to get to see my interpretation of his work, and we got to talk about it, and he told me about the original creative process with Danny Daniels, who was the original tap dancer, and what he liked and what he didn't like about my version. It's like, well, have you thought about this? And then when a couple years later, actually, when he passed away, there was a tribute to him at Carnegie Hall that I was asked to perform in his honor, and I think that probably was maybe one of the greatest moments to pay tribute to him as a part of that celebration.
And what's so key about these particular moments is that they'll sustain you for a really long time. Nora?
Well, let's see. I thought, anyway, my highlight was I had an interview for a movie with Warren Beatty. And when I went in to see him, he didn't give us a script, and he didn't tell us what our parts were going to be. He just wanted to talk, and it was a different process. And when I walked into his office, he got down on his knees and he bowed down to me. Nice. And I thought, well, that was a highlight for me. Well, I got the role in the movie, and it was Bulworth, and we all had these kind of smaller parts, and there was a huge cast. Well, this movie had shut down twice in production. We had a contract which we couldn't get out of, and we ended all of us being on this movie for 3 months. Well, I'm standing next to Don Cheadle, a brilliant actor, and this is almost 3 months into the movie, and I said, I never thought I would say this because I don't get an opportunity to be on a film this long. But right now, I'm asking myself, why did I do this movie? And Don Cheadle said, well, I know why I did it. And I said, why? He said, well, when I walked into Warren Beatty's office, he bowed down to me. That's a true story. But it was still a highlight. It was still a highlight.
Because we think it's true.
Yes.
That he was
it
in
felt
truth.
Great.
That he was acting in truth. Well, so I've gone a little bit long. I know it's a weeknight, so I've gone a little bit long. I want to tell everybody that there's birthday cake in the back.
Yes.
So go get your birthday cake. We're going to stay. We're going to be here. We're going to get off the stage and mingle with everybody. So get one more drink, get your birthday cake, stay around, and thank you, everybody, for coming. We will see you in June.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So our next show, let me just tell you, is June 25th. Our next show is June 25th, and I want to thank the main stage, DPR Rescue, my entire crew, which is fabulous, LH Selman Gallery of Fine Glass Artwork, and Le Cordon Bleu. Everybody have birthday cake.